friend.
Cheers.
This is going to be interesting.
This is. We have very differing opinions, as it turns out, on Valerian, Luc Besson's new film. And, well, why don't you get started? What were your thoughts, or better yet, what were your notes while you were watching? Because that's like a real sense of a real-time experience of a film.
Okay, so let me tell you. So I had to review this film. I had to go to the press screening for this film.
Had to.
Like
you were doing hard time. Like it was a labor.
It felt like it. It felt like I was being held hostage. It felt like a punishment. And luckily, though, there was another film critic there that's a lovely man, Richard Krause, and he sat there with me while I fucking groaned and went, oh my God, and like complained. But when I go to review films, I tend to take notes because I got a bad memory. So I thought this will probably give you guys a good idea of sort of just my
stream of consciousness, really.
General idea. What the hell is going on? The hell am I watching? The fuck was that? What else we got here? We got... Oh, the two commanders are holding the acting. Which is fair. Fuck, is this shit heavy-handed? With the fucking hokey-ass love speech. No more hokey-ass love stuff. So much exposition. I heart Chris Wu. No more romance. So... basically, that was my 2.5 hours summed up. Then lots of complaining in between.
Now, I've got to say, I took no notes in this film because I was struck with so much wonder and love and joy for what was happening on the screen. Now, that's not to say that I found this film to be without faults. And without going into spoilers initially, at least, let's talk about the fact that the beginning of this film has an opening sequence that brings into a cinema a kind of optimism and a kind of just beauty and hope for the human condition that 100%. Is sadly absent in so much garbage, CGI, pointless crap that we've been able to watch this year. Whether it's Transformers or The Mummy, these films that have just nothing to say. The beginning of this film, and I would argue...
beautiful.
I would argue that the tone of this whole film has an optimism and a joy to it that is missing in science fiction.
What is going on? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. No, okay, I will say, the opening of this film, I loved, and I was like, sick. This is setting the stage for what we're about to see. It did not. It was a fucking bait and switch, ladies and gentlemen. Bait and switch, Luc Besson. And then after that, it just went whee, whoosh, right down the fucking tubes.
Okay, I disagree entirely. And it's because after this beautiful opening sequence that gives you that tone of optimism, of mankind, of humankind going out into the universe and being a beautiful mosaic, a tapestry of beings in the universe together. Not only the harmony on Earth, but among the stars. We then pop into, I want to say, Avatar Light. Yeah. I don't know. Like there's like a certain vibe to the next scene where, a credit to Luc Besson, without using English and really without giving the audience much in the way of subtitles. There are, I think, 3 moments where there's a subtitle. Yeah. You understand completely what is happening in this, I want to say, balanced society.
It was one of the only times I understood what was going on in this fucking movie. Let's say that also. There were these very sort of pretty sort of iridescent looking Avatar-esque people that walk kind of like they were drunk and they were dancing. Mm-hmm. It was very bizarre.
There's a grace to the way they hold themselves. Yeah. And you've seen them in the trailer, but not quite the way that you see them in this first scene. And then we snap away from that into, unfortunately, I think 2 of the worst cast actors in the history of science fiction, and certainly in a Luc Besson film.
And you're going to watch these people fucking trudge their way through this for the next 2.5 hours. This is what I picture, like, if I had kids and I got to go to their, like, shit dance recital, this is what I picture having it feel like. Like, oh, I got to watch all this garbage. No.
This is why you should be a mom.
I know.
Isn't that nice?
I know, guys. Guys, this is the maternal instinct kicking in.
And I've got to say, Dane DeHaan tries to hold together a Han Solo type character. Now, bearing in mind, this is not derivative of Han Solo.
No.
This was the archetype for Han Solo, because Valerian and Laureline is a source material that predates Star Wars. It's after Star Trek, but it lives in that pocket.
Yeah,
right
I know.
there.
If you guys don't know, Valerian and Laureline is a French comic book series that this is based off of, that Luc Besson has been in love with for God knows how many years.
For so long, because the artist from that series actually was someone he tapped for Fifth Element.
Yes.
So he has had a love affair with the aesthetic of this film for 25 years.
And you know what's so interesting is that when they were making Fifth Element, apparently the artist, whose name I don't want to butcher, guys, I'm very sorry, I grew up in Miami, I don't want to butcher this French name, he said to Luc, like, why aren't you doing Valerian? And Luc said, because it's impossible. He was right!
It was impossible at the time, and I must say, there's nothing wrong at all with the beautiful CGI, the wondrous characters that are in this film, except what they do. The problem is what they do. There are moments in this film that feel like, I want to say, a short film.
Yeah.
Dropped into the middle of this film. There are side quests that feel like video games taking you somewhere you don't want to be.
I wrote that as well. It was one of my notes about it feeling like, okay, this could be a good, like, tie-in, product tie-in for a POV-style video game.
Yeah, and honestly, at 2 hours and 15 minutes, they could have lost 20 minutes in this film, and it would have worked
100%.
Just fine.
I would have been stoked
There's
if they lost 20 minutes.
There's a whole sequence involving Rihanna's character that feels totally unnecessary to the plot.
Completely. But it was almost a bit of a palate cleanser, I think. It broke things up a little bit. It kind of created Act 2.
There was a lot of comedy in that sequence.
Yeah, and some of it wasn't intentional, but it kind of signified to me like an Act 2 or a bit of a palate cleanser, because here's the thing I found too. This thing, now I understand that Valerian and Laureline is like it's like 50 comic books or something, right? Yeah. And you're cramming all of this into one film. So it's going to be...
Is that what they did? This is an adaptation of the entire
Apparently, that's what Richard was telling me. Oh. So that's why it's a bit all over the place. But by that same token, this movie is PG. And so there was a lot of kids. Now, kids are not... Nobody should have... This didn't make fucking any sense. It didn't make any sense. And it wasn't interesting, and there's too many things going on, and you shouldn't have to work. An audience shouldn't have to work that hard to remember who is where and why.
Yeah, I've got to agree. The general structure of the film is flawed. The characterization of Laureline as this person who, at no point in the film, puts any real importance on the idea of love. She puts importance on the idea of commitment, but not love. Yes. And then, at the end of the film, she goes on this crazy diatribe about love that would be totally at home in the Fifth Element, because the through line of the Fifth Element is love.
And that is a storyline that is developed, and you watch grow and evolve. This just all of a sudden comes out of nowhere, you know? And it was bad, too. It was bad, and it came out of nowhere.
Cara Delevingne is not much of an actor.
No.
Unfortunately. Maybe she'll become one, but right now she's a model who gets a lot of work in Hollywood. I mean, her character was, I think, very shortchanged in Suicide Squad, but I don't think there's a fantastic performance hiding in there. Maybe there is. This film certainly doesn't make me think that she's got... I mean, I must say, there are moments where she's magnetic, but it's almost in spite of the acting. Like, she has some natural chemistry. She has some natural charisma. Okay, but there's no chemistry between her and Dane
DeHaan
at all.
I have never in my life seen less chemistry between two people, I think, ever. It always felt like they were 4 steps out of sync or something, and they really, to me, it seemed... a brother-sister relationship. They also look very similar.
They have the same face. Oh my god! And To be fair, not so much in the film as in the advertising. In the marketing materials, when they take away Dane DeHaan's bags in the marketing materials, and they take all the pores away from both of them, you kind of realize that they are virtually identical faces.
Which is why when I all of a sudden saw them, canoodling, if that's the word, on the beach, I was like, what? Well, this is getting weird real quickly, right? And then I was
a little too Lannister for me. And then I realized, they're not
same.
They're not siblings. They're not clones.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I'm sure would have ignited a firestorm of hatred if they had tried it, because the actual original source material is so revered. It's like when they made Johnny Blaze, or when they made Storm, Susan Storm's brother, Johnny Storm. Yeah,
you're talking on the wrong
when they made when they made the Human Torch in Fantastic Four Black, everyone lost their minds. But they really needed some ethnic diversity in the lead characters in this film. I mean, when a French dude in the 70s writes a comic book, I imagine they'll all be white. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But this is 2017. We really could have used a brown Laureline and a black Valerian or something.
So do you think that is part of why they dropped Rihanna in? Or was that...
Maybe. I think Luc Besson's a 60-year-old filmmaker.
Yeah.
I feel like he probably has all the racial sensitivity of Ridley Scott. Like, he's just not... He doesn't think about that. And it's not to slag Luc Besson. It's a generational thing.
It is.
Now, it's a thing that we consider. As filmmakers of my generation, we are very careful with how we cast, because we want to cast an inclusive film that speaks to a wide audience.
Well,
France was a lot of white people in the 70s, and so if you're going to make
in this film, I feel like, again, that opening sequence, when you see all of these different species and all these different, like, people coming onto the what was that, the Federation of fucking something?
Yeah, onto Space Station Alpha, basically.
That, to me, was sort of showing this sort of, like, unity and all the different sort of, beautiful different types of things in the world that can come together and that can work
Which
together.
I found to be a beautiful symbol
100%.
that was completely lip service, because the Chinese astronaut, then the Indian astronaut, then the Arab astronaut, all beautiful concepts. Not one of them has a line. Not one of them speaks. To be fair, neither do any of the Caucasians in that sequence. But if all of these people of many colors are on this space station, why are Laureline and Valerian both white people? And why is it just Herbie Hancock who pops up who's black?
Okay, but then there's also Chris Wu. Now, I will say, the two saving graces for me in this film were that it was visually stunning. Like, Luc Besson, for his faults, like I was telling, Matt earlier, I didn't like Lucy. I thought that was horseshit. But I
enjoyed it very much.
Of course he did. I love The Fifth Element, but he has, his visuals are just stunning. And, so that you can't deny. I did feel at times, though, I was a bit overwhelmed. That might have been because it was in 3D, and for me personally, it's a lot.
You didn't really find The Mummy overwhelming, and you saw that in 3D.
Yeah, but I jumped like crazy, remember?
Yeah, but that was a cheap jump scare.
No, but the thing is there's so much going on visually in this film. Like, even when you just see, like, a shot of the landscape, there's just, it's too much. It's a bit systems overload for me, I felt.
I enjoyed that richness, though. And I feel like there's a kind of richness.
It was very dark, though, too, so I sometimes had a hard time making out even what some of these things were, because it was, the world was very, dark, and then...
At times. I think there was a lot of juxtaposition, because that first scene after the prologue is so bright and so saturated and so beautiful.
Why couldn't that be? I want to see that movie. Luc Besson, if you're listening... Can we see that movie and do not cast the same people, for the love of the Lord and all things holy, please?
Do it 25 years before, so that neither of those characters exist yet.
Yeah, can we go back in time? Oh, we can be like time-traveling strippers like Rihanna. Can we just go back in time? She went all over the place.
Yeah, Rihanna's character I found interesting. Rihanna's not a particularly good actor.
No, we were speaking, we've seen Battleship, right? We all saw Battleship, let's be real.
And I've got to say, in this film... she was much more captivating than she's been in other films, and I certainly enjoyed her strange CGI self as well.
I found it weird. It looked kind of like that Dory from Nemo thing or whatever.
Like a fish?
Yeah, it kind of had a weird fish thing. But the other thing I want to ask you about, what did you think? So she had this strange, aside from when she was saying, did you like my performance? Did you like my... She was saying things about how, like, you know, where she's from isn't good. And it had this, like, this sort of political undertone.
There are more than one I would say analogy to the current refugee crisis.
And it was, to me, actually, that was kind of interesting that they, and here's the thing, they to me put that in a very, like, tasteful sort of way. Why they couldn't do that with the fucking love thing, I have no idea. But that was so goddamn heavy-handed. But that I found a very interesting, thought to put in, and something that left me with something to think about afterwards. I found that quite interesting.
And as someone who hasn't read the comics,
I haven't read it.
I've taken a look at the art and I find it beautiful, but I haven't read the comics front to back.
No, you have to. It takes 60 years.
Much. Yeah, it'd take a while. But I wonder how much that migrant story was in the original,
that's a good point.
because there have been several migrant crises over the last two generations that have hit Europe, and I wonder if this was just something that was so perfectly relevant that they managed to bring it into fashion now, because I loved how relevant that story was.
I will say that was actually something that really, to me, was... It is one thing, I will say, that really struck a chord, that was executed well, and was the shining moment to me of, like, a plot and script that were just atrocious. But this was the one thing that made sense and hit home.
Yeah,
and I really liked that.
This has been a pretty crap year for scripts.
Guys, like, this script is just vicious. It's just brutal.
Spider-Man Homecoming had a beautiful script. And I would say Guardians of the Galaxy 2 had a beautiful script. But I don't know if there have been any other blockbusters I've seen that were an even well-done script. Wonder Woman had problems.
Yeah.
Certainly, The Mummy was a disaster.
Hang on. Split had a pretty...
I wouldn't call Split a blockbuster.
That's true.
That's a bit of a sleeper, and it actually has all of the auteurism that Marvel has been able to get out of James Gunn in the Guardians series.
But the script on that was pretty great.
Beautiful.
But yeah, you're right. To me, it's a blockbuster because it was just so fucking good.
Yeah. And it ties into, like, a franchise. There are elements of it that make it work. But I must say, the thing about Valerian that, before I really knew much about it, struck me as just amazing was the fact that Luc Besson went to the film festival in Cannes with a pitch for a $200 million independent film.
Independent film.
Yeah, this is not a $200 million wank fest out of Sony or out of Warner Brothers or Universal. This isn't a money. This isn't a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate with money to burn.
Yeah.
This is a guy with a vision who got a bunch of companies on board, who pre-sold $80 million in one festival.
Who also did crowdfunding.
Yeah. Luc Besson made possibly the most expensive indie film of all time, and definitely the most expensive French film of all time.
It is the most expensive French film of all time, and it is the most expensive indie film of all time.
And I have wild, mad respect for the filmmaking aspect of that.
I just wish it was better.
And there's nothing wrong with the way the visual effects are executed. Incredible.
Of which, though, there's like close to 3,000.
Oh, I don't feel like there's a shot in the film that doesn't have some kind of visual effect. No. It's incredible. But if you're going to spend this kind of time and money on a film, and if you're going to spend this kind of time and money fundraising a film, for Christ's sake, get a script that works.
And get some people that can hold it. One of the things with this is that a lot of the weight of this film is on these two central characters.
Yeah.
And there's only like a handful of other humans even in this film to carry that. And then everything else, there's like 17 million like aliens, monsters, whatever the fuck you want to call them, all these other things. So, but it is a lot. It's a lot for, I would say, almost any actor to carry. That's a lot, especially when you've got 17 million subs. Anyways, but there had to have been better options. Who would have you picked?
I mean,
if you could pick anyone.
Valerian is like a cocky Chris Pratt kind of character.
I think I would have gone with Ezra Miller, actually.
I don't know. There's something so genuine about Ezra, and I think the thing about Valerian is that he's Han Solo. So I think you need to cast somebody like, I wouldn't cast Chris Pratt because he's already playing this character, but you'd need someone like Chris Pratt to play.
I don't want to be this person, but isn't he a bit too old for it though?
I don't think so. I mean, ultimately, the fact that Dane DeHaan has been excellent in some films and has been completely the anchor that sunk at least 2 movies now.
I'm going to say this is the third.
Fair enough. I mean, I think he is one of the worst parts of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and there are a lot of bad parts, but he might be the worst. And I'm having a hard time deciding if he was worse than Kara in this film. Because Kara is not a talented actor who was miscast.
Here's the thing, though. She's also not an actor. She is a model who's trying to break into acting.
Yeah, but when you're in your third film,
but he's an actor.
Kara is now a bad actor who used to be a model. Whereas
By
Dane
that's
DeHaan...
Then, though, are you saying that Rihanna is now an actress who...
Yeah, Rihanna has... The first time you stroll into a movie off the runway or the Massey Hall stage, you are a model or a singer who's trying acting. But after you've done it in 1, 2 movies, 3 movies, you're now an actor, but you're a bad one if you're not good at it yet. Get some training, see some coaches, have an acting coach on set.
Here's the thing. There were a few scenes with Kara where I did... Here's the thing. I found for basically almost everybody, and 99% of the time, it felt like this was a first table read, cold read. But there was a few moments with Kara where I was like, oh, you worked on this with your coach, didn't you?
Or she has, Kara does have a natural magnetism. And every now and again, it works in a scene by accident.
Does she?
I think she does. And I mean, I've never liked her in a movie, ever. But I've liked her in the odd scene. And I feel like there's a way to shape her performances that no director has quite gotten yet. Dane DeHaan, however, was just straight up miscast in this role.
A director shouldn't have to work that hard to do that.
And that's the director's job. The director's got to shape the performance to fit it. Because ultimately... when you're making a TV series in its 4th season, the actor is the steward of that character.
If it's a 4th season, but this isn't a 4th season.
Exactly. When you're in the first 2 hours of a character, it is 100% the responsibility of the director to shape that performance, to bring it out of that actor.
If you cast them, then yeah.
I mean, if you're Woody Allen, you're casting people because they're perfect already. Luc Besson managed to have perfect casting in Fifth Element.
Perfect!
You didn't have to get Bruce Willis to do anything outside of a regular Bruce Willis performance, and it was ideal.
Everybody was
perfect. Even Tricky is perfect in that film.
Perfect! Oh.
And I feel like he's just not got the right cast for this film.
No.
And he's not got the right script for this film.
Absolutely not.
But he has the right tone, he has the right visual effects teams, and he has the right spirit, because this film captured me in a way that no science fiction film has since... Well, actually, Star Trek Beyond captured a bit of the optimism of what made Roddenberry's Star Trek great sci-fi. And unfortunately, J.J. Abrams' first and definitely second Star Trek movie drove it into cynicism. But the thing that makes Star Trek beautiful, and the thing that makes, I think, Valerian beautiful, is that cynicism is thrown out the window. And it is earnest... and it is joyful, and it is allowed to be. That's a big deal.
I don't know what fucking movie you saw, because it was... Nobody was happy, except for, what were they called, people? I don't know. The ones that look like the Avatar people.
Oh, yeah, the people from...
But they weren't even happy
either.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it.
With the umlaut above
Yeah, there was lots
of
umlauts and stuff, which I was like, there's still those in the future. That's weird. But I didn't... There was an optimism in the film at that very fucking beginning, and that's why I'm so angry. I really... When that opening scene happened, guys, like... I do not recommend watching this, but if for some reason, if you hate yourself enough to watch this movie, you will see that, like, the opening scene, it's just like, ah, it's so perfect, and then it just all goes to shit, and it's dark, and it's dreary, and nobody seems to be happy for multiple reasons, half of which I can't even remember because there was 10 of them happening at once.
There are a lot of layered stories happening in it.
Too many things, man. Why was there so many things happening at once?
Again, I feel like the script is flawed, and I think if there were two things done to change this film, you might have something just sublime. And one of them is change your Valerian. 100% you need a different Valerian because he's a great actor when he's used correctly, but he does not have what it takes to play Han Solo.
No.
And so
in this, to me, like I wrote even in my notes, I was like, he does a really good young Keanu Reeves, and there's for half of the movie basically he's also looks like he's doing Leonardo DiCaprio in Romeo and Juliet. So it's very, and he looks quite ill. We were speaking about this as well.
Yeah.
He doesn't look
like a healthy dude.
No, so it's hard also to see that that hope and optimism and like and how so they refer to people's like the playlist. So cheesy.
The rogues gallery. The women that Valerian has been through. And I don't for a second believe it.
I don't either.
He doesn't have the magnetism you need.
He has no magnetism. He looks sweaty and cold like he came out of an after hours at 5 a.m.
He's a clammy looking dude.
He's a clammy ass looking dude.
Yeah.
He looks like he smells like Cheetos and cigarettes, and it is fucking gross, and I just don't buy the fucking bullshit.
Oh no. Okay. I would call him miscast, but he managed to go through the motions to get us through the film. He's not enough of a leading man to pull it off.
He went through the motions, but I didn't have any other choice. That's when I felt like I was held hostage, and I feel like he was almost like, well, I signed a contract, so I better do it.
Yeah. So definitely you need a new Valerian, and I would say
you need a new Laureline.
Unless
Laureline,
yeah.
Laureline.
If Laureline or Laureline, if you can get it out of her, like it might be there. There are moments, but there are other moments where what was it? Richard Krause called her the Meryl Streep of eye roll acting.
Richard called her the Meryl Streep of eye roll acting, which is very apt.
I have respect for that because he's bang on. She has a lot of Valerian moments.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're gonna have a scrappy asshole as your lead and you're gonna have an endearing female as your co-lead, then you just need better actors across the board to make that happen.
I think that, again, this was just a thing of also just not being a good script. Like, I think they're trying to show, that she has to work with him, so it's like that, like, buddy cop movie where it's like, we're stuck together kind of thing, but she kind of likes him, but she's fighting it in a way as well, and she's kind of over his bullshit. But none of this works. None of it works onto me any level. Again, I would have believed it more, and it wouldn't have bothered me so much if they had actually been a brother or sister thing.
Yeah, if you're going to cast two identical looking actors.
Yeah, come on now.
Like a skinny, like, wiry dude and a skinny, wiry girl with virtually the same face.
Yeah. They
should be clones or something, and then I'd be totally on board for that storyline. But when I found out that they were, like, potential romantic interest, I was totally out. I did not believe it for a moment.
Also?
And that is a huge problem. I think this is a beautiful, well-imagined film, but it is not well executed.
Well, can we also talk about the fact, though, that, like, it basically opens... okay, please don't see this anyways. I'm just going to say, please don't see this. So are we
into spoiler territory?
Well,
like hardcore
it's sort of,
spoilers?
not really, because nobody fucking cares about this. But when it starts and he's like, I love you, I'm gonna marry you, let's get married. It's like, yo, chill out.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
That came out of nowhere. It escalated way too quickly. It was like, and she's like, oh, you know, I'm not
another eye roll.
I'm not gonna be another like person in your playlist. And she pulls up like a fucking thing with all the girls that he slept with. But it literally started from there, and it doesn't tell me though that they have any history.
Yeah.
I didn't get the feeling that there was history.
And I also don't know how this like 20-year-old major has 9 years in the service.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Like everything about this character,
it's just
the things he says, they're incongruent with who Dane DeHaan seems to be.
Yeah. It's just so fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got to say, I would love to have seen this film redone with the appropriate cast.
But who
with a tidier script.
Who would you have put? Oh, let's think about this.
If Chris Pratt wasn't already in Guardians of the Galaxy, I would say that movie needs Chris Pratt. Or Chris Evans in his like Human Torch
one of the
20s would have been fantastic in that role. Someone with some gravitas, someone with some machismo.
Yeah.
Someone who is able to just be the scrappy
dude. I didn't. This guy to me just looked like literally like he rolled out of an After Hours, and wound up in this fucking like extra one of the like background performers from Tron suit, and was like, oh shit, I guess I got to do this now. And it didn't work, and I didn't buy any of it, and that was very hard to swallow for 2.5 hours. Like it really was. I felt. Just the fuck was that? The fuck was that? The whole goddamn time.
I felt the occasional the fuck was that surrounded by wow. There was a lot of wow.
There was a few wows. Well, I don't want to
tell us about the wows. We're into spoilers now.
Okay, so there's this one thing which I'm still a bit confused as to why, but I did find it fascinating, where Cara Delevingne's character has to stick her face up a jellyfish's ass to see visions of what has happened to Valerian, because he somehow got lost in some sort of fucking chase, because people are chasing people non-stop in this movie. Sometimes people are chasing 3 people at once, but not even in the same place. It's ridiculous. They lose a chase to get on another chase, to find another chase, and then they gotta go backwards, work back, but like, it's ridiculous. Anyways, she has to stick her face up a jellyfish's ass,
which is
like,
a hilarious, wonderful scene.
But it's actually quite beautiful too. The imagery and it was stunning. It was bizarre. It was fucking bizarre. And then the weird thing at the beginning where the people come and the what were they called?
The 3 little pigeons.
Oh no, not those guys. The Avatar looking people when they
the mule
when
people.
They shoot them with the thing and then they get all covered in goo.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was kind of cool. That felt a bit Cronenberg-like. I kind of liked that.
Now, what did you think about Big Market? The crazy interdimensional.
Dude, I love Big Market. Again, I was like, this is dope.
Cool.
So
the
dope.
idea that it's almost virtual reality,
yes,
but it is a reality in another dimension.
In another dimension.
And there has never in the history of film been an action sequence like that.
And it's
the amount
cool.
of visionary,
so cool.
crazy, beautiful, imaginative things that happen in this film, guys, you need to see it.
Okay. Calm down. There are a few beautiful things. There are. And I say beautiful because they actually work. But this, unfortunately, is one of these things. The parts, there are a few parts that work. The parts are not greater than the sum, and the sum is shit. Like, you got to admit, at the very end of the day, is this a good movie? This
is not a great movie. This is a super enjoyable film. For me, it's a visionary film for everyone.
No.
It is visionary. From the perspective of a director who brings an incredible vision to the work, it is.
It's so hard,
you cannot contest that. Whether it's worth doing, you can contest. But the fact that it was done, that is uncontestable.
Yeah, it was done.
Yeah.
It
sure was up on that screen.
He did it. He definitely did it.
Yeah. He just shouldn't have done it like that.
He just shouldn't. And somewhere along the way, because this also wasn't something they shot like last year. This has been years in the making.
Well, he's been thinking about it since The Fifth Element.
Sure, but like years in the actual like production of it too. Somewhere, someone along the line didn't just go, "Hey, guys, so that's really fucking stupid," or like. Why we can't have him in this role?
Yeah,
you know,
just
things
somebody
like that.
along the way should have said, "Hey, Luke,
up.
Wrong actors."
Yeah.
Or, "Hey, Luke, why is that happening?"
You need a script doctor. What about you know?
Yeah, it needed to be tidied up. It needed to be tightened up.
It's
it
very
needed to be
clunky.
recast.
It's clunky and it's muddy and it visually. Sure, I would watch it with the sound off. I would love to watch it with the sound off.
Yeah.
Actually, I would probably really enjoy it with the sound off.
Yeah, I mean, not having to listen to Dane and Kara would improve it.
Absolutely.
I mean, the score I found quite sweeping.
Sometimes it sounded like Jurassic Park.
It was a little bit derivative in spots.
Yeah.
But yeah, very sweeping, very majestic.
Sure.
And in a time when, Zimmer is giving us honks and calling it a score, it's kind of nice to have a sweeping, beautiful theme. But yeah, I would say the music was not. It didn't feel staggeringly original, but it felt appropriate.
Yeah,
it felt beautiful.
It was apt. It was at least it felt the most thought out.
Yeah, it was certainly thought out.
So there's that.
Yeah. Well, I suppose in summary, we can agree to disagree on this film.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
I'm gonna see it again.
You are God. You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, it was just. It's too visually stunning and too optimistic and beautiful to not want to take that in again.
What is going on?
Hey man, I was hoping for a certain movie and I got it. So
no way.
I
really?
got the kind of movie I wanted.
That's what you wanted?
I mean, I knew what two actors were leading the film, so my bar was low. And they came in a little lower.
That's the thing. My bar was low, too. I did not expect a lot from the performances.
But I was expecting a lot from Luc Besson. And he delivered on the things I expected from Luc Besson.
All right. Well, I do feel like we probably were at two different films, I think. I just, I'm not a sci-fi person to begin with. I also have...
Although you are very excited for Thor Ragnarok.
Dude, that trailer was sick.
The Thor Ragnarok trailer just dropped.
We just watched that before we started doing this, and that was amazing.
Boom. So good.
Okay, that is true. Okay, it's a good... That was sick. We will have to watch that one.
We'll check that one out. And Amy enjoyed the hell out of Wonder Woman. And she's not a person who thinks she likes comic book movies, but now she's starting to realize
I'm warming up.
The comic book movie is not a genre. It's a source material.
Well, superhero stuff to me. I mean, I've always said my favorite superhero is the Toxic Avenger, which is not exactly a superhero. But
Swamp Thing, Man Thing.
Oh,
these are all comic books.
For sure.
They're horror.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm stoked for Thor. You and I, Matt and I go to movies a lot together, and we generally agree on everything.
Except for that time you got up and left in the middle of Crimson Peak.
Because it was a movie about ballroom dancing. And there was too much goddamn ballroom dancing. Again, I don't do romance and I don't do sci-fi. And there was just too much goddamn ballroom dancing. I was like, that's it, I'm done.
Crimson Peak is an example of a film that was advertised as a horror film.
Yes.
And you didn't get what you wanted.
No, I did not.
So she went to the bar and I finished watching the movie. But
I played some pinball and I went to the bar.
But Valerian advertised a sweeping, beautiful feast for the senses, and it is that.
Well, and that's why I said maybe I'm not the person to have reviewed that film, because I'm not, a sweeping,
It's not your bag.
It's not exactly my bag, but I did go into it with a very open mind, and I ignored a lot of the sort of rumblings of negativity because I never buy into that bullshit anyways. And I really gave it my all, and I was all in there at the very beginning, and then it just, that bait and switch got me, and then I was just like, oh my god, what did I get myself into?
Well, for all the complaining you'll see and all the bitching and moaning that it's fun to do from reviewers around the world.
Is that fun?
I've got to say, well, there are people who just like to pile on a movie and be haters.
Some people just like to shit on something.
And I think we've done a good job of discussing a fair job of discussing the bitter and the sweet that this film has.
For sure.
But one thing about this is that it is still in the positives on Rotten Tomatoes.
Get out.
It's a 57, but it's barely in the positives. So that means more people have liked it than not, which means...
It just opened, though.
It just opened. Well, the thing is, the critics are giving it a 57. The audience is giving it like a 70-something. So it's worth seeing. And it's definitely worth seeing in the theater, and it is 100% worth seeing in 3D.
If for some reason you feel the need to see this, you know, some people have this thing about seeing a car crash, like you can't look away, but you got to do it. If you for some reason feel the need to do it at the theater. I guess do it in 3D. I don't know if there's another format, but is it like 4D?
I don't know what 4D is yet.
I don't even know what that is yet either. It's very confusing.
I feel like you insert nostril tubules and smell the I don't know what the fourth dimension is.
Yeah, and I don't, like I had said, like, these people look like they fucking smell like cigarettes and Cheetos. I do not need to smell that. I don't want to pay $25
I don't want to smell that slimy handshake.
Oh, yeah. God, no. So, if you do, though, for whatever reason, if you've some sort of weird kind of religious guilt thing, feel the need to go see this, see it in the theater.
Yeah, it's a beautiful feast for the senses.
You can always leave.
You can always leave. Well, it's there you go. At the end of the day, you can always leave.
This is true.
But I would say it's worth going in, and I would stay if I were you.
Well, that makes one of us.
All right.
All right, buddy, up top.
Up top.
Up